So before we start into with the Apollo, like with the GraphQL itself, we need to talk about something called Apollo because see the thing here is GraphQL it just provides the core logics of how the GraphQL should work, but handling with the RESTful API is where Apollo server comes in. But now here the thing is before we get into the whole ecosystem of the Apollo, there are two things we need to make sure and you need to understand while creating a full stack application. I want to tell you is about the Apollo client and the Apollo server. In this video, we will be talking fully about Apollo server is because that is what we need to make the GraphQL APIs ready. So if you remember the previous diagram which I showed you, the single API, right? That single API via the this Apollo server. Fear language agnostic, so it doesn't matter. Let's get started. To get started, let's create a project name, just like how it has shown here. Once you have done with the next thing is we initialize the project by writing in project init, and we have to make sure the type module because we will be using top level awaits, and also we will be using import statements. Once we are done here, let's go ahead and install GraphQL and also Apollo server. As you can see, GraphQL is a library that implements the core GraphQL algorithms. This one is known for how to turn the HTTP request into the GraphQL operations. Now it's installing GraphQL and Apollo server altogether. So once the installation is done, now let's go ahead and open our VS Code here. Let's create a file called index.js here. Before we start anything, let's see our packages and make sure that the type is set to module because we will be using the import statements. Now the next thing is we have to import the Apollo server itself, and next is the start standalone server. To start Apollo server, what we need is a start standalone server. First, we will first start the Apollo server itself. Let's create a const here of server, and this Apollo server requires two things. One is the type def and resolvers. Once you have defined the server, the next step is you have to start the standalone server. So as soon as the server is getting started, we are starting that server inside the standalone server. It will return the URL and the server is start ready. So in the next one, what we are going to talk about is the resolves and type defs. But before that, we will jump into the schemas, which are actually quite important part of this. See you in the next video.